Yeah.
Tea. So I'm gonna serve the tea.
Very exciting.
It has some sugar. So, pero
Great.
si quieren más azúcar, let me know. Cause like
It's probably strong.
Looks great.
it is quite
my
strong. Porque le he echado 3 sobres, so
Wow.
perfect.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Eat because eating like food is our love language as well.
I know.
So
I very much agree.
it's so good.
Is this the moment for marketing for the Romanian smoothies?
By the way, this cake has been made by an old Romanian lady. So it's really good.
It's the best cheesecake I have ever had. Like, it's love as a cake. For sure.
¿Cómo fueron como vuestros primeros contactos con el amor? In general, como maybe as a child, pero también in like later in life, como how were your first experience like with love at first? So yeah.
Uy, difícil. So, should I go for it?
Yeah.
Let me drink tea first.
I mean, drink as much tea as you want.
First experience was probably like my mom and like I guess my family in general, like my dad's family taking care of me, like in general, you know, just like family taking care of like a baby. And also like all of the like caretaking jobs that like the women in my family took without being paid for it, because that means that obviously like they have to have kind of like a double shift, and then for my mom like it meant that she had to like leave her job, which also she had gotten precisely because like she wasn't having a job that she actually liked. She just had a job because she needed to again take care of her family, like her smaller, younger like siblings, and then she had to leave it anyway because of me and like my sister and stuff. And so that's love, but like it's simultaneously abusive, not from a person but from a system that kind of forces you into having to do not what you love, but it implies that like love for like the people that you absolutely must take care of because they're like unable to do it for themselves because they're babies. Like you basically have to, if you love them and you care for them, that means you're also simultaneously being abused because there's no social, like there's no socialized caregiving. And so being in Spain, like not long after like a fascist dictatorship, obviously that, you know, there wasn't socialized care as there should have been, and so these are kind of the consequences. And then also my later on experience with love was like I guess it was love, but like it was very much the love that people wanted me to feel.
Before you talk about that, I wanted to mention, like I found very interesting that you're literally the first person that I've asked this question that talks about something that is not romantic love, you know? And I find that so important, so thank you first.
Yeah.
And second, like about what you just said about labor, and how it's like violence in a way, I find that very interesting because I think there's also so much pressure, especially on women, of you're not a good mom if you're not leaving your like job in order to take care of your children. If you're not sacrificing for your children, you're not a good mom. Or there's so much pressure on like motherhood. So that's so important.
Yes, I agree so much with both of you. And actually, you've made me realize, I was thinking, my biological family is not very, doesn't show emotions much, let's just say that. So I was thinking my brother did take care of me a lot, so I would say my brother maybe was the one that put me love first or something. But then you make me realize that actually I had a caregiver, like I had a woman that was taking care of me and my brother for the longest time, and she's someone that definitely has showed me love throughout the years. And I have to say, what you said is really important. This woman is still in my life in a way. We still see each other from time to time, and to me she is a grandmother in a way. Yeah. But she had a really tough situation, as you say, because her husband didn't let her have a job, and then when they were short of money, she actually took this job of, I'm just gonna take care of some children. So she was in a really complicated situation. Yeah. And to this day, the moment I was gonna take my driver's license, she told me, please take the test and please never stop like having your own independence, like the driver's license being just a metaphor of like, you as a woman, you have to be independent and be able to like carry yourself, so that a man doesn't like do that for you. And she was really talking from the heart. Yeah. And so
yeah, I just feel that as well, because my family situation, like, I mean, my parents love me, thankfully, like, and I do have, like, they're very loving people. However, they're very complicated humans, which is, like, natural. So, I don't know, but there was a point, like, when my parents got divorced the first time, so my mom, obviously, she was a doctor, but she was, like, she hadn't been working in Spain for long, so she had to take a lot of like emergency jobs as like emergency doctor. So she would work so many hours, and like sometimes she couldn't even come to sleep. So that meant that, especially because my parents like were divorced, my dad was in a complicated situation at that time. I had to stay with like a caregiver a lot of the time. And I also like do have a really good memory. I still talk to her. Like she always asks me if I'm married, if I'm gonna get married. Wow. So she's very like religious, but she's so sweet. She's from Romania, and like good enough. Like her situation now is so much better. Like she was able, like obviously, because what I found very heartbreaker about her, that obviously when I was little, I didn't realize as much, because like my mom being like a socialist and like very, like. For her, the fact that she's taking care of her child, that meant so much for my mom. So like, she was like part of our family. She would like, I don't know, she even learned how to cook Cuban food for like me. Like she was so nice. And so like, I don't know, but she once told my mom and us that in her other jobs, like they would make her eat in a separate room. They would treat her like, they would make her like wear a uniform, or like treat her really like badly, like as if she was something like dehumanizing, very low. And now I think of that, and like for me this woman is like part of my family. Like I wouldn't have been raised without her in a way. So it's like like it's so important to humanize like these types of like jobs, because it's really like it's work and it's human, like I don't know, it's but it's like really important.
Yeah, so I feel like in this instance the like abuse is once again like tied into what it was, because like it wasn't like, it was like romantic love, but like I'm not just talking about like one case with one person, I'm talking about like a pattern that I was kind of falling into. And basically, once again, like, it was very much about, just feeling what I was told I was supposed to feel. And what I was told I was supposed to feel, like, wasn't just, like, up in the air. It was because, like, it was ingrained in everyone's minds that I would have to have material needs met. And so through that type of association, that's how I would have them met, right? And so class had everything to do with it. And that was such a prison for me, because like obviously, like, I don't know, when we talk about like sex ed, for example, we never think about like what if someone doesn't have access to like a shower or like a warm meal, or like a healthcare system that's actually there to protect you. And at the same time, like, we don't talk about the fact that, like, you come into like, unless you're, like, genuinely, like, very secure in your, like, economic situation and, like, your especially your family's economic situation, then you, like, are kind of forced, like, especially if you're a woman, to, you know, because your labor is, like, even more underpaid, because men's labor is, of course, underpaid as well. But yeah, basically, like, you are kind of, like, you have to look for a solution in the form of a person, and, like, oftentimes, like, a lot of relationships, for example, even when you have to, like, seek housing and, like, you do so as a couple, like, that the fact that you don't have the freedom to not do that is a fucking huge issue, because it basically means, like, you're not just there because you want to be necessarily, you're also there because it's an economic contract.
Yeah. Some people in general from all, like, social, like, statuses, like, they feel like they don't have the privilege to even question their sexuality, you know, because, like, you need, like, they're so fixed in trying to secure housing, or, like, secure, in the case of bourgeois, like, women or, like, people, like, their, like, status, that they can't really think too much about it, or even men sometimes, like,
but I just that I agree with you. I haven't thought about how important it is to realize the material difference between two people that can really mark a relationship. But with what you were saying on status, though, it reminds me, I didn't really have a partner growing up. I mean, I didn't really have a partner when I was a teenager, and I think part of the reason why is because I had a lot of pressure from my mom. She wanted a certain partner for me, and that would be bourgeois young men. I don't know how to put it otherwise.
Yeah.
Button-up shirts and everything. And so I feel like I had such a pressure that I, for one, to me it's really important my identity as LGBT as well. And to me, looking back, it's really important when I realized the feelings I might have had for some people that just weren't necessarily men, but I didn't actually give those feelings importance. On the contrary, I was focusing on, like, why can I not just feel something for, like, one of these guys, the specific type that my mom wanted me to find. I just, so.
And that is such, like, so violent from, like, for a young person, like, for a young being who's, like, pure, to, like, suddenly be faced, like, they don't even know why it's wrong, but it's like, no, actually, I cannot think this way because I know for some reason that my parents would not really like this, even if, like, their parents haven't openly told them, like, these, or, like, but it's, like, this violence sort of implied, and it's, like, so, like, also, like, you were mentioning something, and that made me think there was this girl that I met once, like, she's not really my friend, but I met her, and she's a bit older, and she told me that when she was at uni, she was so broke sometimes that she would just go on dates with men in order to have, like, dinner.
I've heard about that,
And that's the thing is, like, she's not the only one. I know a couple of girls who've done similar things.
I mean, I've definitely been on dinners because I've
done it.
I could have dinner. I just wanted to, for once, have a filling good dinner, and like I knew that like that was the way that I was gonna get it. Like, it's not freedom at all.
No. Yeah. It's like sometimes I'm like you know, going through like uni life, and I'm like, actually, if I go out with this guy, although I don't like him that much, I might just like, you know, save some money because I don't have money, you know.
Exactly.
And it's so sad, you know. It's really sad as well.
I know. There's also a lack of freedom to actually be with whoever you want to be, you know?
There's insecurity in it all as well. Because in a way you're going out with them and you expect, for example, like to have a good dinner, as you said, but then maybe they would ask, like, if they want something more in return, let's say, or if they also have their own expectations of the dinner, and you're just there because you honestly just need, like, the material security, and you're looking for something else, and that becomes a problem. And it seems like it's your fault in a way because you searched for that relationship to begin with, when really it was like the insecurity, the material insecurity in the beginning that brought it up.
Yeah, and also, you know, another thing that like really like bugs me is people who are like anti-sex work or like anti, you know, sex work abolition is like that really like I find it so annoying because like I mean come on, like where do you draw the line? Like we're all
I know, it's
you
like
know?
I don't know, because like the other day I was talking to a friend and I told them these like sometimes I've accepted to go on dates because I have no money.
Yeah.
And they were angry at me like, how could you do that? Like I would never allow a man to pay for me or like whatever. You need to be independent even if you die of hunger. I'm like, first of all, I'm sorry, but I don't think you specifically would be put in that situation in which you like would die of hunger if you don't like, you know, and like you have the privilege to be able to say I don't allow men to like pay for my meals.
Exactly.
And then it's like at the same time it's like, to be honest, like they've had so much privilege, they earn more money, like I think it's just fair, like they shouldn't pay. You know, like, because that's money, like, it's also mine in a way, you know, because, like, I don't know.
Yeah, but you know, you know
know
what these women say, like, for example, someone like Meghan McCain, the epitome of, you know, being a capitalist, basically they go and they're like, oh, well, I don't want the state to do anything for me because like I'm an independent woman and I don't need like you know like the state to be like my caretaker, and it's like your daddy is your caretaker.
Like,
like
add something to these. So what you're saying, I think there comes a point where you're not even talking about independence, but you're talking about being powerful enough or something. And to me that seems the dichotomy between masculinity and femininity, where the masculine is always action and always power, and femininity is like sometimes you have to accept help, sometimes you're the receiver, like you have to like you have your needs, and sometimes I see that as part of patriarchy, honestly, as part of the be as independent as you can and everything, because this is like
I mean I feel in capitalism like, I think as like a core like issue.
I personally
capitalism is basically like patriarchal,
but I think
in its form, like completely.
Like the biggest like produce of patriarchy is capitalism. Like capitalism and patriarchy are like the same thing. Yeah. In the sense that capitalism is a patriarchal structure.
It's literally built on women's free labor. Exactly. And not just women, by the way, like also like queer people, but also men, and like especially the men that are further from the like hegemonic dominant idea of masculinity. And again, like that includes class completely, right? And queerness, etc. So it's just basically a question of whose labor can I exploit? Let's make up a narrative to justify that I'm exploiting it. You know?
Yeah. But it's like as well, like it's not only labor but you can exploit, I've realized lately, but it's also like, because it's not just material alienation at this point, but it's also like emotional and like spiritual alienation.
As a consequence.
That's being exploited. And like sadly, like mostly like female like people and queer people are the ones being alienated most. And like also if it intersects with racial and class, like it's even worse. So
I think you only have to look at like the term these passing. I mean, it's there for a reason, because trans people on the daily, in everything they do, on what we're talking about, for example, looking for a job, they have to be this passing. That is, they have to appear one gender or the other within the binary, so as to actually get a proper job. I mean, unless you accept anything, I guess. But like, if you're looking for something proper, you have to change yourself, and many times it means literally denying yourself every time you go to work. Do that one day after the other because you know you cannot. And sometimes, well, it gets complicated. Sometimes you want some changes but can't afford them. Sometimes you don't necessarily want to do like a medical procedure, but even if you don't want that, then again, they're gonna expect you to portray the binary, so you're gonna have to accept the fact that the person is gonna like.
Because we are simply not free. Like we are simply not free. Like it's not like you're like what freedom do you have? You have the freedom to go to another. You have the freedom to be exploited by another capitalist, but like you know, like you're always under an upper hand. So obviously, like there's no way. Like you know, there's hardly any way that you're gonna get to be yourself. And like, I think, you know, like, basically, if you are a like wealthy capitalist, you can actually be, you know, obviously you're gonna like find, you know, a lot of bigoted people who are like horrible and like are gonna like bully you, but like you are gonna be able to like live out the gender that you wanna be. Whereas like if you are a worker, you just don't have that opportunity.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When asking, I remember my brother, he was giving some LGBT talks on schools, and they went to a school that was particularly in a working neighborhood in Madrid. And so when they were explaining how like the fact that women have to wear makeup for work and like men don't and stuff like that, a kid just told them like, honestly, you do what the boss tells you. So if you have to wear makeup, you wear it. If you don't, you like, if they tell you not to, you don't. But that, like, for the kid, it didn't even like, it wasn't even a question of sexuality or gender. For him, for this child, it was just like, yeah, survival, and so that meant what you're saying, like, just like what the boss tells me, like, I cannot choose to begin with. It's just gonna be the boss that chooses for me.
As
like,
well as like, it's so sad that like, as I said before, that when you're so young and so pure, you are conditioned to have such a strict like mindsets in order to survive, and like that's so ingrained in your being, and it shouldn't really be like that.
yeah.
So yeah. But I feel like we've covered a lot like right away, so I love that.
Am I leaving?
You are.
Pero no me vayas a sacar diciendo esto.